I'm watching The View today. Sunny Hostin, whatever, gets checked. And I love it when she pouts. But before we watch The View, you have to see this because it sets it up. Watch this. This is what I watched this morning. CNN. Gonna report some truth. Okay.
The issue of immigration. How is President Trump seen as doing on that?
Yeah, you know, if we just take a look at the baseline numbers here, this is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago during Trump's first term. Look at this. In his first term, Trump was way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Now, in the aggregate, he is in positive territory at plus 1 point on his net approval rating. Look at this. 54% approval. How about agents searching your hometown for those that they think are here illegally? Again, positive territory here, above 50% for Donald Trump. So it's not just on the broad issue of immigration where Trump is doing well. It's on the specifics. When you dive into the issues, Trump is above 50% and his actions are above 50%, at least with those most directly connected to what's going on right now out in Los Angeles.
So Donald Trump, the president, picking a fight on this, and to an extent, you see Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, a Democrat, and the California Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back. So what do voters see in terms of their perceptions of Republicans, the president, or Democrats, say Gavin Newsom, on this issue?
Yeah, the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue on the issue of immigration.
No,
I mean,
don't.
You could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. You see it here, CBS +6. You see it here, CNN +6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, +19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number 1. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
I was just going to use that word, eager.
No, you weren't. Let's go to The View.
There is a lot going on, so let's get to it. The White House ordered the National Guard into Los Angeles to confront demonstrators protesting ICE raids in L.A. And border czar Tom Homan claims that even California's elected officials need to step aside.
Take a look.
Take a look.
If you stand in the way of your enforcement operations, you could be subject potentially to arrest. Are you saying that about Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom? Are they at risk of being arrested?
I'll say it about anybody. It's not about public safety. There's clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy.
But I don't really, when you come in and when you go into the donut shop to look for people and you're dressed in tactical gear, you're creating an issue. You're creating a problem. You want people to come?
By the way, any criminal that goes to a donut shop, you got to be dumb as hell. That's not where you hide, guys. If you're trying to get away from police, you don't hide at a donut shop. Go to a gym.
Deploying the National Guard is supposed to be a last resort. But what this president is doing is that he's saying he's going to deploy them anywhere in this country where there is protest. So that is certainly not a...
What's wrong with that? Get to it before it gets out of control. They're cleaning up your streets of California. They got a problem with it.
The last time a president circumvented a state governor and sent in the National Guard without the governor requesting it was in 1965 when Lyndon Johnson sent in the National Guard. Today, he is sending in the National Guard to attack the protesters who are there. And look.
Yes, look at it. Don't attack that, guys. Leave them alone. That's peaceful protesters there. How dare you, Trump?
This for me hits really close. I'm Latino. I'm an immigrant. These are my people who are getting dragged through the streets.
They're your people. They're dragging her people through the... Maybe it's time for her to... You ought to be embarrassed. She wants to protect those people.
We have the right to protest. We are Americans. This is our country. We have the right to free speech, but we cannot fall into the trap that Donald Trump is setting. And we have to show up with American flags.
Oh, they're showing up with American flags, making good use of them. I know I keep on interrupting, but do you know what they're doing here? They're calling them protesters. Protesters are allowed to throw object at police officers.
I strongly agree with something that Sunny said, which is I virtually never agree with the use of the National Guard on American streets unless it is absolutely needed to quell civil unrest and to protect...
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt. Can you get to the point? By the way, it gets really, really good here, guys. Before I keep on going, I want you guys to know what's important to me, and that's honesty. Cutting through the media bias. Ground News is the only outlet out there that helps me do that. With each story, you get a visual breakdown of the story's political bias and reliability. Check it out for yourself at ground.news/jaws. Get this, Trump wants to build a golden dome, and apparently Canada wants in. This story has been covered by nearly 108 sources around the world, with 40% of the coverage coming from left-leaning outlets. For me, it's important to get two very different takes. The left frames the story around the months of bad blood over the trade war. Meanwhile, the right focuses on the massive $175 billion price tag. And you have to check out the blind spot feed. It shows you the stories one side talks about and the other side ignores. Like this Golden Dome story that has been barely mentioned by outlets on the right. Use the link in the description, ground.news/jaws, or scan the QR code that you see on the screen and get 40% off the Vantage plan, which gives you everything and much more. That's what I use. And you know what, guys? It supports the channel, which is almost everything I care about.
Into what he wanted to do. What he wants to do is he wants to create a scene. He wants to say, I was justified in sending in the National Guard because look at how violent these protesters are, which they were not until this was...
Gavin Newsom and Seabass need help. Look what they did to California. The entirety almost burnt down. Of course! Trump's going to step in to save California. He has to. Two twats are running it.
He is losing support in every area. Inflation, the economy, tariffs, foreign policy. His ratings are dropping.
Even on immigration.
Even on immigration.
But there's one catch.
Is it like under 30%?
Current support right now, though, is that...
Sonny just said, is it under 30%? Like, they don't got a clue. Watch.
66% of the American public actually thinks it is crime enough to be undocumented and therefore deported.
That it's criminal to be undocumented?
Yes, it is not. You know how the disagreement was in the beginning? We were told it was going to be violent criminals, and I think everyone at this table would agree. Haul out the violent criminals, fine. But a very important distinction was 60% of the American public, 2/3 of independents, 90% of Republicans, and just a little under half of Democrats think the crime is in being undocumented.
Even if it's a civil offense.
Yes.
Yeah,
so what I'm saying is a massive amount of this country actually agrees with not how he's doing it, but with what he's doing.
So there's misinformation
I think the strategy
here
is...
There's misinformation out there.
So there's misinformation
I think the strategy here is he's leaning into a scene right now, creating a bigger thing, because it is the one thing that he remains supported.
Let's fix that right now, because it is not illegal to be undocumented. It is not a crime to be undocumented.
But what they're saying is the problem is that they
No, but I'm just saying we need to put that information out there. It is a civil infraction.
Yeah, but he's actually lost some points on the way he's handling immigration, not the border.
Absolutely.
And I think
He's gained points. What are you talking about?
I think a lot of Americans voted for him on immigration, thinking he was going to deport gang members and criminals.
Are you not
and
hearing
he's deporting
what
our
they're
friends,
saying?
our neighbors, mothers, fathers, people working hard to make America actually function. And this is not what I think a lot of people voted for.
A lot of people don't, but it does.
Sarah's right about this.
These polls are consistently across the board showing there's more support than you would realize to stay in your own.
Well, so let me throw this out to you, because something I'm interested in is... I saw this list of countries that can't come, people can't come in.
Haiti.
What did they do? And so I read some of the things. They said people have overstayed their welcome. That's why they're mad at people in Chad, because they tend...
Don't you kind of feel like Whoopi's overstayed her welcome? Like, don't you? She's been on that show for a while.
...to overstay their welcome. Well, I noticed that the man who attacked all those folks who were marching is from Egypt. He overstayed his welcome. Egypt is not on...
In Texas.
In Texas, the man who set folks on fire, the anti-Semitic man. Is this just pure fascism that's happening? Is this is this what's going on?
Great point.
There are indications of fascism.
Well, it feels like if you're telling me as an American I can't protest, if you're telling me that I can't come here and
all they're doing is protesting, guys. Destroying California. You're allowed to do that. That's exactly how they think. Anyways.